we had predicting words based on word frequency, suggesting words based on word length and the distance from the keys, dragging the screen to show a limited amount of characters at once, the traditional flip keyboard keypad idea, different swiping directions for different keys for that group, and grouping the letters. And once the group is tapped, have bigger keys that will show up for the particular group to increase accuracy. We also thought about using a regular QWERTY keyboard with word suggestions, and as well as enlarging part of that keyboard once it's tapped to show that it's bigger and it's easier to tap. We realized that users are most probably accustomed to the traditional keyboard and wanted to see how that would fit on a 1" by 1" screen. For the first prototype, we created a regular keyboard with keyword suggestions based on the word length and distances between the keys and the user's taps. And the black dots represent the number of keys typed, and tapping on them selects the suggested word. We tested this prototype with 3 different people with an average time of around 20 words per minute compared to a baseline design time of 3.2 words per minute. For our second prototype, we created grouped keys in alphabetical order on the edges of the square. We also thought about having rows of grouped keys, but with doing some testing on paper prototypes, we realized that having keys on the edges made it less likely that users would choose the incorrect grouping, thus increasing accuracy and speed. With the grouping selected, enlarged keys would show up in the middle with space and delete buttons. We tested this prototype with 3 different people, giving them 1 testing round and 2 more rounds for our calculations with 7 phrases in each. And the average time was around 4.75 words per minute. For our third prototype, we created a mini regular keyboard at the bottom of the screen. The keyboard is fixed to the bottom and doesn't register any letters, as well as enlarges at the top so that the user can easily type the key on only a section of the keyboard that's displayed. And the user can swipe right for space and left for backspace. We tested this on 4 participants and had an average word per minute of about 8. Our prototype, the raw words per minute, was in the 14 seconds, error prone. We knew that this idea had potential if we thought of a way to reduce the errors, since we realized that the regular keyboard follows the mental model of users versus the grouped keyboard design. And with the keyboard design with surrounding grouped keys, we noticed users still had a pretty hard time selecting the right key efficiently, as the circles were pretty small. And we knew that we wanted to maximize the usable space and minimize dead space so that every space registered something. For the second prototype, for the regular keyboard design, we added a feature where holding it drops down a menu where you can select a different word suggestion. And most of the time, the first suggested word was correct, so users can just tap on the dots if the word is incorrect and choose a different word from the drop-down. To further reduce errors, we added left for backspace, depending on whether they were in the middle of the word or whether they completed a word. Furthermore, if the user were done with typing a word with no black dots shown, then swiping left would delete the whole word. And with testing on 3 people, we averaged 18 words per minute without errors. For our group keyboard design, we used forward swipes as the space and back swipes as backspace. That made more room to click on the buttons and making it more accurate. We tested on 2 people with an average of 9 words per minute. We realized the biggest time-consuming part was finding the letter around the screen, since users are not used to that kind of layout. So we decided to do our final iterations on the regular keyboard design. And with our second refinement and final prototype, we increased the font weight and size so that it's easier to read. We also added vibrations every time anywhere on the keyboard is tapped so that users know when their tap is being registered. We added a small weight for the word frequency so that not as many random words were being suggested. The color was changed to black text and pink background to contrast with the green. We tested on 4 people with 7 phrases in 2 rounds in 1 testing round. We got 30 words per minute raw and around 24 words per minute with the error penalty.